Segment of the Power Breakfast Show. This is Citizen TV, and before we get into what's making headlines in the papers, now Teachers Union KUPPET wants its members working as non-locals in parts of the northeastern Kenya withdrawn by their employer Teacher Service Commission. This follows Thursday's attack at Kasa Primary School in Wajir, where 2 teachers and a wife to one of them were killed by suspected Al-Shabaab militias. Union leaders further want a special police unit formed to provide security for schools in troubled regions.
3 days after suspected Al-Shabaab terrorists gunned down 2 teachers and a spouse at Kasra Boarding Primary School in Wajir County, teachers are now calling on the government to provide security to their colleagues in the northeastern region. Kenya National Union of Teachers KNUT and Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers KUPPET are now threatening to withdraw their members from the area if security is not guaranteed.
KUPPET now demands that Teacher Service Commission withdraws teachers in those affected regions, those insecure regions, the way they have done in a school in Migori, where teachers have been told to stay at home and the school gate has been closed because the teachers were attacked in that school.
The union officials are blaming the government for failing to put in place measures to curb attacks on non-local teachers deployed in the northeastern region who are becoming now soft targets for the Al-Shabaab terror group.
All schools should have police posts, either inside or within the neighborhood. Ministry of Education, Ministry of Interior, Teacher Service Commission, they must work as a team to ensure that teachers in this country do not fear for working in any environment.
KUPPET's call has been echoed by their colleagues from the Kenya National Union of Teachers. In a statement to newsrooms, KNUT Secretary General Wilson Sossion condemned the attacks and called on the government to establish a special unit of police to guard teachers and learners as it happens with diplomats, tourists and VIPs. Sossion added that the special unit should also be charged with the responsibility of providing security to school property. He said a teacher, like any other professional, has a right to enjoy peace, professional freedom and protection. Sossion further said that TSC should make it a policy that local communities have teachers from their indigenous groups.
Sad indeed, that story from Wajir marks the beginning of our newspaper review segment with my panelists this morning, Kipruto Arap Kirwa, Charles Kipkulei, Richard Onyonka and Dan Manzo. And gentlemen, there is no better place to start off than from here. Teachers are fleeing Wajir and parts of northeastern province. Already we are told about 15 primary schools have been affected by the exit of non-local teachers who comprise 60% of the staff in Wajir County. This, as the unions are demanding that TSC does something. Is there anything TSC can do?
For me, I don't think this is really about TSC. The issue is about the government. It is the responsibility of any government to provide maximum security for its people, wherever they are. And I think it again comes to the same issues we've been raising, that if a state or a government that is functional is looking at the issues that are outstanding or the challenges which are outstanding within its borders, this government needs to be proactive. The government needs to improve on its security. The government needs to look at what are the issues that are making our security system to collapse, to the extent that you have the Al-Shabaab militia or the Al-Shabaabis to infiltrate, penetrate and eventually hit at the soft targets, who are our people. I think the government is directly responsible on this matter, and they need to look at this issue critically. And for me as a member of parliament, what astounds me is the number of times that you are having transfers taking place within the security network in this country. I mean, every 2 weeks you either see the county director, yes, people are being moved from one area to the other. You have the head of departments being shifted from one area to the other, which is okay. It's the prerogative of the government to do that. But the reality is that if you have a commandant who's in charge of, for example, the eastern region of Kenya, if he's not feeling secure, if he doesn't know, for example, that I'm here to stay for the next 3 years, the reality and the practicality of his actions is going to be determined by soft sand. He's going to feel
Anyway, I'm just here temporarily.
I'm just here temporarily.
Why should I
don't know whether I'm going to be kicked out of here because of political reasons and not my performance. And therefore, the feeling I have is that you have the military, you have the police, you have the national intelligence system, you have the APs. I mean, we have a security system that needs to be shaken, that needs to be improved, that it needs to be worked on, so that these issues cannot be appearing every so often as they do. And finally, it is true, we in the opposition have been discussing this over and over again. We really need to rethink the strategy. Do we need to stay in Somalia? Is there a relationship between how long we have stayed in Somalia and these hits or the incidents which are happening, or are the issues which are affecting security in areas like Lamu and Wajir and these areas locally based and not necessarily because of external factors? I think these are things which we really must begin to look at.
Quite a plateful you have there, but Banamanzo, is there something that can be done in the immediate to protect soft targets? This is not the first time non-locals, as they are referred to, are being attacked. The story is on the back page of the Daily Nation. Teachers flee Wajir after Al-Shabaab attack, and it's now affecting Kenyan children in this region.
Yes, and also, you know, a loss of a single life in Kenya, and especially whereby it would have been prevented, is a serious matter, and the government has to take it seriously. I believe the Al-Shabaab have claimed that Kenya has occupied through its, you know, the security systems, and especially our army, Somalia, and there must be discussions between Kenya and Somalia so that if the problem is our occupation there, and in fact under international law, you cannot occupy a neighboring state, and this matter has been discussed even in Parliament quite often. And I believe it is time Kenya pulled out of Somalia, and we defended our borders from the borders, so that I believe we have enough security.
But the Kenyan soldiers are there under the auspices of the African Union, not really as...
Yeah, but you remember when the Kenyan soldiers were going to Somalia, it was for a certain period. You can allow other states to do it. What is happening is that one of the complaints is, you are our neighbor, why are you here? And that's why we are getting hit quite often. It's a way of some people in Somalia saying, sending a message to the Kenyan government. So I think it needs to be looked at, and if that will stop the attacks, then let's defend our borders from our borders, and I believe the issue of Al-Shabaab can be dealt with sufficiently with proper intelligence information. We'll be able to know. You've seen police have managed, because of information sharing and intelligence, to stop a church from being attacked. We'll be talking of a different story if a church had been attacked in Nairobi. But I believe you can stop more if the locals cooperate. There is sharing of information. But most important, we need to have a strategy on how to withdraw from Somalia, and we defend our borders from the borders. We also use of technology, drones. You can be able to know where these installations are, where these people are operating from, and you can stop them before they can attack the teachers. But I don't think just pulling out the teachers is a final solution. We need to find a solution with security, and if the security solution need not be found soon, then that particular region needs to be served by people who come from there,
that region,
and who have been who are teachers. They can be pulled from the rest of the country, and they can go home to serve their own people. But that is as a last result. This seems to be against what Matiang'i, the CS, was doing before he left education. You know, doing transfers all over the country so that we can have different experiences. And it's a way of uniting Kenyans if you are serving in a different region. But the security situation is surely worrying.
Charles, is this a possible, workable, immediate solution, removing all non-local teachers from that region?
Well, the challenge will not be really removing them, because these are the issue of terror. And terrorism is not something even Kenya can just fight itself. It is a regional problem, even global. Therefore, first of all, the Somalia issue has to be addressed. And the withdrawal of teachers will only change the terror dynamic, because now that should only make the terrorists look for other targets. Maybe they'll go for government installations, go for business people and everybody else. So the challenge for me, I see, is in terms of our policing strategy as a nation. And the blame is squarely on policymakers and even from legislators, because our security system...
Two of them are sitting here.
The challenge is this. Let's even ask the question. What is the deployment of police in terms of numbers in those areas where the problem is largest? And even compare vis-a-vis, maybe, for example, now that our Eshimios are here, for example, Parliament. If you do a head count of policemen in Parliament when it's in session, and policemen probably in the entire northeastern region.
Let's do a head count here. Mheshimiwa Nyonka, how many security staff do you have?
On the ones who work with me, I only have one.
Mheshimiwa Manzo?
I've got one.
So I'm sure you'd not tell me if you have
so that means around 349, that's within the circle. But the idea is, we are not saying that our leaders do not require security. But the problem is that our policing strategy is skewed towards protecting VIPs and probably even securing the capital, and looking at this. It is centered towards the higher section of society and ignores the very basic problem, which is terrorism, that is affecting us, because that is the biggest security challenge that we have. So first of all is in relooking the numbers, and something like the anti-terror police unit, it needs strengthening in terms of numbers, deployment and even equipment, so that they are able to deal with this problem. And then secondly, there is the issue of dealing with the problem at community level, because if the challenge is terrorism and it is borderline security problems, because you understand, along the borders, these are people who come from the same clans, they know each other. So if you strengthen the capacity of community policing systems within that community, then you are able to address the issue better. But of course you have to complement that with the workable intelligence gathering mechanism, so that information that is gathered becomes useful. We don't become a reactive policing state, but rather we become a system where we are able to deal with matters before they arise, not after. So the problem is, first of all, the deployment, strengthening of the anti-terror police units, and strengthening community policing strategies within those areas.
Mheshimiwa Kipruto Arap Kirwa, does this incident poke holes on our alertness as a country? Because this is not the first time teachers are being attacked, non-local teachers. And listen to this, the NAT leadership secretary in Wajir town, Noor Badad, he says, he threatens to withdraw teachers from the terror-prone areas if leaders fail to come up with mechanisms that will guarantee security. And I quote, "We will ensure that we withdraw the teachers from those stations if leaders fail to address their safety, particularly at Korofa Karar and Kutulu education zones." Goes back to leaders again.
Yes, and I also don't want to blame the government per se. The fundamental issue about our country since independence is that we have failed to build a nation. We've just created a conglomeration of tribes who, at best, they believe in themselves before they believe in Kenya. Why am I saying that? There is no national cohesion. When a thief is arrested, he's our thief. When some community is attacked, like those teachers who don't come from that area, we've not allowed the people to understand that these teachers are there in their interest. So the long-term solution would be, can we reinvent the nation of Kenya? Can we
rediscover Kenya?
Can we build national cohesion? And President Moi did very well in terms of involving the local people. That's why I do agree with Charles that there must be local participation for them to fully understand why are these teachers there, for them to fully understand that Al-Shabaab is a negative element even onto themselves. They're actually retrogressive in terms of building the nation. Finally, it is also important that our presence in Somalia was not orchestrated by our selfish interests. Richard and I know that when we went to Somalia, it was a clear mandate that you go to Somalia, pacify the situation, train the local people, allow them to take over some of these processes. And that phase should have been done without corruption. Now, when we got into Somalia, the first thing was the team that I had prepared, because it was my office that presented the paper to the summit after Council of Ministers. The team from Kenya.
Then he was Foreign Affairs
Assistant Minister. He was my boss, although I was his boss earlier.
Such is the world.
So the team that stayed in Somalia for 1 month, led by Brigadier Mulgor. In Kenya, it was totally changed, because now it became an opportunity for people to invest in their economic activities. And that is where the rain started beating us. The lorries that were carrying askaris, they came back with charcoal, sugar, bananas. And therefore, the whole thing was lost. And therefore, the local people realized Al-Shabaab were better than the soldiers from Kenya. That is where the problem is. So what we need to do is to rethink our security strategy. Pulling out without effective exit plan can also become disastrous.
So because
our borders are porous all the way from Lamu to Mandera. And pulling out without proper strategy will be opening up this problem of Al-Shabaab. Because you know Somalia has become the haven of international terrorism because of failed state for the last 20-something years or so.
But Mheshimiwa Kirwa, that is a long-term solution to the problem that is bedeviling us. Even as we look at the long-term solution, teachers, very soft targets, are losing their lives. Look at the wife of a teacher. I mean, is it becoming a high risk being the wife of a teacher?
Well, that's the problem. In fact, I would have expected the president and his deputy to be now in that part of the country, involve the elders. Because you see, the Kalenjin and the Somali society, you involve the leadership. Because if you don't recognize those elders, you are not solving a problem. You are just doing a panacea which is short term. Involve the elders, let the elders tell us, do they still want these teachers? So that we don't also expose Kenyans to unnecessary danger